Hey, what's up, guys? This is Stan from Stany G Tech, and today we are coming up with another tutorial in Java object-oriented programming. And in this tutorial, or in this, I should say, session or class, whatever you want to call it, we're going to talk about a such thing as generics in Java, why they're used, and basically what they're used for, and how to use it. We're gonna actually do a hands-on project where we're gonna create a generic class and use it within the program. So to start with, when we think about generics in Java, let's think about a generic generic something. Let's say we're talking about a store that sells goods, right? So you're not specifying, what goods does the store sell. It could be, let's say computers, or it could be food, or it could be, some uh, clothes. It could be anything, right? So basically, what generic is when you don't define what an object is, what type of object rather it is. So, when I talk about some object, when I talk about some, some some object, I don't specify what the object is. So in other words, when we talk about the store, for example, right, I can say a store that sells goods, or I can specify more, a specific store, let's say Best Buy store that sells computers, or sells appliances, or sells any other stuff. So now, why do we use generics in Java? It seems like we can just write a class if we know what we're doing, if we know what kind of object that we're building. Why do we want to use generics? Why do we want to go through all this hassle? Actually, we're going through the hassle when we write a specific class. Because if you think about it, what we're actually doing in a specific class, for example, a class type car, let's say, we specify that this particular class is actually belongs to the car, and it's only a car, and the data types inside the fields, right? The data types are going to be the one that pertains to a car. So it could be int mileage, could be int year build. So we specifying actually the data types that we're going to use. But what if we can use a generic class that's already going to be built for us, and use the fields and methods and constructors of that class to construct anything? Could be a class that constructs an array of objects, right? Could be a class that it's not constrained to anything. It constrains to object in general, but it's you define what you want to build with that class. You want to build an array. You build a class that is tied up to an array of specific objects, but then you're not specifying what type of array it is, what data type, right? Normally, when we create an array, we say int array of numbers, right? Or we say, string array of city names, or we say double array of something, right? Of of some kind of double values, right? Weight, or degrees, or whatever, right? Or we can say, we can even construct an array of objects, right? So we can say flowers. We can say a flower array of flowers, right? So we can build an array that will have the actual flower objects, and within those flower objects, we can have the flower type, flower cost, flower size, I don't know, flower color, I don't know, flower scent, whatever else. Now, so in this exercise here that I have, we will have to build an array. We will have to build a class, the generic class, that is constrained to an array of objects with a type parameter, right? It's called type. What is type parameter? Type parameter is basically like an X. So when you don't know something, you say let X be the number of days we're gonna stay in the hotel, right? You don't say let 7 be the number of days or let 8 be the number of days. You say let X be. So pretty much you're doing generics here. You say we don't know, we're not sure what it's gonna be. So let X be something. So in a generic class type, we define the X with the special parameters. It's called type parameters. There are a couple of them. The most used are T and E. The K parameter that responds to the key. E parameter that responds to this corresponds with to the element. T I don't remember what is it. I think it's type. So, and in this one, we're going to use actually T as type of a parameter because we are going to specify the data type. So we're asked to build a class that would, generic class. Actually, let's go ahead and bring up the assignment. Hold on, I'll bring it up on a different screen here. Actually, I can bring it up on this screen. Why not? I will go through my emails, and it should be somewhere here. So this is the old one. Here, this is the right one. Okay. So it says highest to lowest elements. So it's so basically, it says write a generic class with a type parameter constrained to any type that implements the comparable. So comparable, to understand this better, comparable is already existing class in the class library. So it's already predefined. We don't have to create it, right? We just got to inherit methods from it and use it within this class. So the constructor should accept an array of such objects. The class should have methods that return the highest and the lowest values in the array. And then we have to demonstrate, and we're going to download the program, which I already downloaded here, and we're going to demonstrate how it works. So let's go ahead and get started. So first thing, we already know that we have to inherit from the comparable class, right? So how do we do this? Well, we create, first of all, we create a we create a Java application, right? And let's call it high-low. High-low Java. It's going to create us the main class. And as usual, we remove the main method here. So what we're going to do in the beginning, pretty much see how it says public class high-low. And remember, in the previous lectures, I showed how to extend, how to inherit it from the other class, how to inherit methods from the other class. So we're pretty much going to do the same thing here, except we're going to define that this is a generic class. Now, how do we define that this is a generic class? As I already said, we use a type parameters. In this case, we're going to use T as a type parameter. So to basically inherit the compatible class, what we have to do, and the type parameters, in generic classes, we use angle brackets to enclose the parameters, right? So since we're going to be using a t type parameter, so we're going to go ahead and put the angle brackets here. So hold on. We put the angle brackets here and put the t inside. But we'll also have to say that this generic class is going to extend the extends the compatible generic class of compatible, right? So how do we say that this is a generic class of compatible? We use what? We use the T, right? Again. So compatible, comparable. I'm sorry, not compatible. Comparable, there. Yep. Comparable. So we've just done it. I mean, we defined a generic class with actually no data type, right? So we put it T. Treat T as you would treat X, and you will understand this material better. So let's say X extends the comparable X. So we're gonna extend something from that class, right? All right. So let's go ahead. First thing we need to do is, of course, we define fields, declare fields, attributes, where T is the type, the unknown data type. Unknown generic. Before we actually continue, I want to say something about generics also. Generics, they help with, first of all, they help with, how should I phrase it? When you use generics, you don't have to type the a new class for every for every program that you use. In other words, let's say you type the generic class for an array of items, whatever items there are of any type, right? And then you can use the same class for books. You can use the same class for strings. You can use the same class for numbers. You can use the same class. You don't have to type books. Okay, books is a type of string. The book names is type of string. Then you create a new class for, let's say you're working with, I don't know, numbers. You're doing a binary search or anything. Like, you basically have to write the new class and say int array numbers equals new array of such size, whatever, right? Then you have to create completely new class for, I don't know, a type, a car object. So you will have to type a string array of cars equals, so you have to do a lot of typing. To eliminate this, you use generics. So you can use the same class for cars, the same class for books, the same class. What you are doing, basically, you're not defining what type of what data type the object is going to be, and that's it. Another benefit of using the generics is that it finds errors at compile time instead of finding errors in runtime. So basically, have you ever seen when you write a code in your main program and you miss a semicolon, and the word get, or you get a red line underneath, and it says, oh, you're missing a semicolon, or you're missing parentheses, or you're missing brackets, or whatever. That's what the class is doing in compile time. It checks it and it tells you right away what the problem is. Now, at the runtime error is pretend you're doing the programming, you don't see any red lines, but when you run the program, it crashes. And you have no idea what could cause the crash, you know, and you basically are stuck and spending a lot of times reviewing the code and stuff like that. Where if you use generics, you get you type something and it says incompatible operand or something, and okay, since I'm using this is not equal. This is compared not compared to. Since you're using comparable, a comparable doesn't have the equal. You would have to say compare to the object compared to this object. You know what I'm saying? So, and then also, yet another thing about generics is that hold on. I said about the errors. I said about the. I think I covered everything about generics pretty much. If I remember it as I go along, I will go ahead and let you know on that. Okay. So we're declaring a field and attributes where T is as an unknown generic type parameter. So how do we do this? So normally we need to declare an array of objects, right? So normally we write, what do we write normally in an array of objects? When you create an array of objects, what do we write? Well, we have to know what data type is it. It is, right? So int array of, I don't know, years lived in the United States or something. I don't know. Int or double array of weights, or string array of city names, right? So we have to write this. Now, if we specify it, it's not going to be generic. So how do we do it a generic way? Well, remember that T that we wrote in the beginning? Well, let's use it here. T, so X, let X be, or let T be the data type. We don't know what data type we're going to use, or somebody's going to use while using our class. So let T be the data type. All right. So, and since the assignment says the array, fine, we'll give it an array. I will call this array. Let's keep it. Since we're dealing with numbers, we'll call it numbers. Okay. So T array of numbers. So X, whatever data type the array of numbers is going to be, I don't know. We don't care about it, right? So, and also we would have to say that it's a private one, right? So we still have to use access modifiers. Private. Okay. So private array of numbers of unknown for now data type, right? So then we'll have to use a constructor, and tells us that constructor should make the array of such numbers, right? The array of such items, right? So we are creating a constructor called high and low, right? So public, same as class, high, low. And we're gonna pass it an argument. We're gonna pass it this array. Here is something. When you're working with arrays and when you pass them as a when you pass it as an argument as a constructor, it makes sense to name them differently. Because with arrays, with single objects, when you say this dot book equals to this book equals to book, that's easy. With the array, it gets confused sometimes. The system sometimes might act weirdly. So it makes sense to name the array a little bit different. It's still going to be the same thing because you're setting it equal to this array. So, so we're gonna set it equal to. We're gonna pass it an array, the empty array of unknown data type of, let's say, values. Or in our case, let's say objects. I don't know. Could be values, could be objects, could be whatever, right? So we pass it as an array. We pass an array of objects. You can name it pretty much anything. All right, and inside the constructors, we're gonna set it equal to. Hold on. We're gonna set it equal to the numbers, right? So we say objects. No, numbers first, right? Equal to objects. So now they're the same thing. Objects. Hold on. There's something that I mistyped. Ah, there. Said. All right. So this is pretty much constructor. Right, constructor. So we constructed it, we put it in the array, so now it's equal, so array of objects, right? We created a copy, that's what the constructor does, right? Now we have to write the method that finds the lowest, highest value of in the array and the lowest value in the array, right? Let's actually call this one values. So we're not confusing what we're actually doing, right? Values. So whatever value, right? So now, how do we write a generic method to... Hold on. How do we write a generic method to basically return the lowest and highest, right, values? So we're gonna say in here, this is, oopsie. So this is gonna be a method that returns. Let's do the highest first. The highest value in the array. All right, so how do we do this? So of course we have to say public. Now the data type, what's going to be the data type in this method? Of course we don't know the data type. We have no idea what they're going to put inside of it. So what do we put? T, right? So public T, get, we'll call it get lowest. No, get highest. Let's do highest first. Get highest. Since inside the main program, they already have those names. They already call those methods. So get highest. We're not going to pass anything. Oh, here's something else that I want to talk about, that I want to mention about generics. In generics, we use generics to basically, you know how, for example, you declare one data type in a class, and then you realize, oh, I want to use this class, but this data type is a little bit smaller. Like, let's say you declare a byte of type, a byte, let's say byte, I don't know, some kind of thing of a type byte. And then you realize, byte is a little bit smaller. In my class, I want to use integer. The old technique involves something that's called casting. So pretty much you convert a byte to an integer or to double to whatever data type you need. And it's again a hassle. Why do you have to go through this? You have to know what casting is, how to write it correctly. You have to know the syntax and all that. Why bother? Just create an unknown data type and then just put it in within a program. That makes life that much easier, right? So, all right, we are missing something here. Get highest, public T. I think we're good. No, we misspelled something somewhere. So hold on. public T get there. Now it's fine. All right. So inside of this method, what do we want to do? First, we want to start searching an array from the first element, which is 0, right? So we set the marker of the highest value, right, to the first element in the array, and then it's going to go through from beginning from left to right. It's going to go through the array and find the highest number. Maybe it's at 0, maybe it's at 1, maybe it's at 2. We don't know. So it's going to find the highest and it's going to return it. So first of all, we have to set the marker. How do we do this? We say that the highest value, right? Again, we're not sure of what data type it is. We're not sure if it's an int or a string or a double or a float or a char. We don't know. All right. So, all right, we have our friendly T, right? So T highest value will be equal to our array, which is numbers, dot, not dot, sorry, numbers at the element, numbers at the first element, right? So it's at 0. It's either numbers or values. So let me check. Yeah, numbers. So what we're pretty much saying is the highest, the unknown data type of the highest element, highest value, is going to start with the array in the array of numbers with the first element. So it's going to go through from left to right at cell 1, which is at index 0, right? So it's going to go from 0, and it's going to compare it and, you know, find the highest one. So okay, so we have that done. Now that when we have this taken care of, what we do is we run a loop, right? It has to go through and iterate, and it's gonna you know, go through the array and the traverse, right? And it's gonna find a number, right? So the way we're doing this is by using a for loop. So for, and there's going to be a standard one on for. We could use a traverse loop. There's an advanced loop for arrays in data structures, but we can use just a for loop here. For integer I equaling to 0, I is less than our array, right? Numbers dot length I is going to be increased by 1. So we're going to think here, and basically what we have to do is we have to say that if an element of numbers at certain index compares to highest value, is greater than 0, then we got our highest value, right? So how do we say that? So when we use comparable, again, there's a method called compare to. So how do we use this? Okay, so we say if in our array, which is numbers, right? If numbers, the element of the array at I dot compares to, if while compared to highest value, it does it for us, right? If it's greater than 0, oh, sorry, some paper fell. If it's greater than 0, right? If it's greater than 0, I like to write everything right. If it's greater than 0, Then we're going to return the highest value, right? Makes sense. So, well, first of all, we have to store that value that it finds, right? So the highest value equals that element that it found in numbers. So it equals to that element that it found in numbers, right? I did something again in numbers, that element, okay? All right, so I want to clear this. This is confusing sometimes. I don't care about this right now. And we're gonna return it, right? So we're gonna return that highest value. Now, if you think about it, for the lowest, I mistyped something. Highest, oh, what did I do? Highest value. All right, so if you think about it, you know, what's gonna be, what method is gonna be for the lowest? Well, really identical method, right? All we're gonna do is change that, you know, the lowest number, the lowest value, and we're gonna set it less than 0, right? So if, when it compares, it's less than 0. After comparing, we're gonna set the lowest value equal to numbers at that element of that array, to that element of the array of numbers. We're gonna return it. So, I mean, if you want to rewrite this, you can. Makes sense to rewrite this. Then you're not confusing yourself with brackets. So, and plus, you're gonna rewrite the method name: public lowest get. You want to make sure you write. You want to make sure, check your spelling. Get lowest. Get lowest. And you're not going to pass anything again. It's the same thing. And of course, you have to now set some variable lowest value of some type, whatever the type will be. It will be defined in the main program, equals to numbers and the element at that particular index, right? All right, and then lowest value, something that's complaining about something. Oh, no, I'm sorry. At 0, right? So it's gonna, so sorry about that. I confused myself with the loop here. So it's gonna, you know, the lowest value identically as here, same thing, is gonna be set to the first, this is setting in marker. So it's gonna be the first element of that array. So it's gonna start from first element of the array and it's gonna go through, and then it's gonna hopefully find it, right? Lowest. Let's see what we're missing here. Invalid method declaration. Something is invalid here. Lowest. What's invalid about that? Public. You know what the mistake is? We didn't specify the data type again. T. So, you know, you always want to make sure, even when you write a generic class, you want to remember that there's a placeholder for the data type, right? So we don't know what data type is going to be there, whatever someone chooses to use. So we put a T, right? Well, that's our X, right? So, and then identically, we're going to run a for loop. For, again, we're going to traverse through this array. For, int, and the same thing, int I equals to 0, I is less than our array numbers dot length, and it's going to be I plus plus, and then I'm going to say pretty much the same thing. I'm going to say if our element of numbers at that index, right? So if element of that index in numbers is going to be when compared to our lowest, not equals to, compared to. Compared to lowest value is going to be less than 0. If it's less than 0, then the lowest value would be set to it, right? And then the program is going to return that lowest value. And that's pretty much it. That's all it takes. Again, to review, why do we write generics? What is generic? Generic is pretty much a class where we don't specify the data type, so that other people who use this class could define their own data type or know what they choose. It's just a generic class that could be used multiple times for multiple arrays with multiple different objects in the array, right? And then it saves time, it saves code, it saves us from making a runtime errors versus seeing the compile errors and correct them right away. And it prevents or saves us from having to cast. Casting is an old school now. So right now is this thing, since Java 5, since the release of Java 5, they have this method in there or have this technique in there to make it easy for us to code and write programs, right? And debug them. All right, so now all we have to do is create another main class, right? So we create a Java main class, and we're gonna call it high-low test, right? So we're gonna call it high-low test, since we already have a program that does it. All right, and then in high-low test, we're gonna pretty much go to our desktop and copy this given code into our program, into our so 1 second here, just making sure I'm copying the whole thing, and then I am going to paste it in here. Boom. Get lowest. See, the method names are different. So let's go to our let's go to our class and get highest, get lowest. I don't know why is it complaining. What is it complaining about? Get highest high, low. What was it complaining about? Cannot find symbol. Method get highest. You cannot find the method in that class. High and low. High, low. High, low. Everything is created here. Let's go back to class. We'll find the error here. High, low. Make sure the spelling is correct. Get highest. Get lowest. Is it in the same class? Yes. Just making sure. High, low is a package. Yes, they're in the same package. High, low test. Integer numbers. I think it didn't create. Let's just try create. Let's just try creating another class. I think it didn't create Java because get highest should see the method. I mean, it's right there. Get lowest. Get highest. High, low. Alt enter. Let's see. Create a method get lowest in high, low dot high, low. Not sure. Ah, look at that. It did something. No, we cannot undo this. Okay. So then, why is it complaining about lowest? Ah, missing the parameter. Okay, we can put the parameter in there. And then let's see. Ah, all it was missing the parameter. So yeah, apparently when you made a class, you have to put the parameter in here. So Alt Enter. Puts it somewhere. I don't know. I guess everything is working now. It was just a little bug within IDE. I think it's working now. It's all working now. So let's go ahead and run it and see what it does. Okay, high-low test. Okay, and it works. So it was a little bug. It was nothing that we done wrong. It was a little bug within the IDE itself. I don't know, something happened with the NetBeans, I guess. But program works fine. You can see that it's doing what it's supposed to. The highest value is 99 and the lowest value is 11. Let's check visually. 11 is right here and 99 is right here. So it found it. So it found this one at the index 0, 1, 2, 3, and I found this one at the index 2, 0, 1, 2. So yeah, the program works fine. was one of those weird things with IDE. Don't if you see the right code, never start panicking. Restart your IDE. Sometimes it fixes the issue. And yeah, so we completed this. We just completed this assignment. So again, thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to click the notification bell, subscribe, comment. Comment what would you like to see or need help with, in my other videos when I create them. And this was Stan from Stanny G Tech signing out. As always, peace.